Now, the Deputy President, Paul Mashatile, has left Jagersfontein in the Free State, where earlier he was conducting a service delivery oversight. During this visit, he's promised the government will rebuild residents' homes and also come up with programs to boost the local economy. eNCA senior reporter Aviwe Mtila joins us now to give us the latest update about this Deputy President's visit to Jagersfontein. One of the biggest challenges, Aviwe, for the people of Jagersfontein is homes, is housing, because their homes were flooded badly by the sludge that came out of that dam in September last year. What did Mr. Mashatile say about housing?
Finally, a commitment has been reached, brother, and as you understand, of course, that disaster striking on the 11th of September 2022. It's been 8 months, and all there is to show on the ground are just 3 show houses of how these houses will eventually be. But the promise now is that in 6 months' time, that's in November, the 164 families that were left destitute at that time will finally be moving into their houses. But it's not the only problem, brother. And you look at Jagersfontein, and of course, traditionally, it was built at the backbone of mining. Remember diamond mining, even in the 1800s, some of the biggest stones that were unearthed came from Jagersfontein. That would include the Excelia diamond as well as the Reeds diamond. If you look in the 1900s, some of the cleanest diamonds, and of course that was excavated, were mined there in some of the biggest handmade mine in the world. But if you look at it today, Bradan, while you expect it, in fact, for residents to be living quite comfortably, the suggestions are that they live in poverty. So poverty is another issue that needs to be tackled, as that's why then the some of the business heads were there as well, part of those engagements, trying to see how they can then find jobs for the 96% of the population of the Jagersfontein that is currently unemployed. But not only that, there are also service delivery woes when it comes to water. We do understand, in speaking to some of the residents there, they'll tell you that for the last 10 years, they haven't had a single drop coming from them taps, relying on JoJo tanks for the water supply. So it's some of those issues that the Deputy President is trying to navigate on. But the promise is that the mine itself will then build homes for the 164 families by November. In fact, let's take a listen to the Deputy President of the country, Paul Mashatile.
After we've intervened building the houses, we want to see local economic activity so that we don't put people in houses, but there's no local economic activity to benefit from. So he will be driving that. The Premier has already identified other projects like the solar project that can provide 6,000 jobs, the hemp farming. So there are a number of initiatives that will come, and that's the reason we had a meeting this afternoon with business people who have also committed to come to this area and invest. So this is just one of the beginning of our interventions in these affected areas, and we thought we should start here. We obviously don't expect that change will come overnight, but we have now started. And even with the houses, as you can see, that the show houses here, they've now started with the project. So people should be able to return to their homes properly in the next 6 months and properly well settled. We will continue to monitor.
Aviwe, so how have these interventions that have been pronounced by the Deputy President been received in Jagersfontein?
You know, Bradan, earlier in the morning I was speaking to one of the residents, and I think he basically sums it up so nicely. It's been 8 months, and of course there have been a number of visits from different stakeholders, whether it be the government officials, whether it be these different business individuals, and they've all been making promises. And the gentleman that I spoke to in the early hours, one of those, of course, that were impacted by the sludge, suggested that this is all a talk shop. So I guess it's a wait-and-see approach that the residents are having, and will only believe it once it's done. In fact, you speak to the illegal representatives, they'll share the similar sentiments, even questioning why government is working so close with the mine instead of actually holding it accountable, because there were debts, of course, involved there as that dam wall collapsed in that sludge. In fact, I wanted to take a listen to one of the conversations that I had with the legal representatives of the 164 families. That's Alex Spoor from Richard and Spoor Incorporations.
It's about information and provision of information to people. A lot was said here about working with JD, the mine. But what government needs to recognize, we need to understand, what is government's role here? JD, under their watch, this disaster happened. They are liable for this. They must make good on it. They were clearly negligent in allowing this incident to occur. What is government's role here? They need to hold these people accountable. And to do that is a multi-forum engagement. They have to engage with lawyers, but most importantly, they need to ensure that JD plays open cards. Give us the information. If you have nothing to hide, where is the toxicology reports? And possibly the last point to really note is there's a history to this mine. That history is prior to JD. We know this mine was in part ownership here with Renit in investments under Mr. Rupert's watch. We know that there were frequent violations, in particular of water use licenses. What are the government's intentions here? Are they going to pursue criminal conduct against these persons? We are dealing with an enormous environmental catastrophe.
Alex Spoor ending that update from Aviwe Mtila about the Deputy President Paul Mashatile's visit today to Jagersfontein.